If one could believe it, it's been close to 7 months since we've last seen our would-be witch. But I'm happy to say that today's the day we get to play her in full. Whemy, the witch, is here, everyone, and although she may not be official, we may as well treat her as such. From crafts old and new, to unique and familiar mechanics, we can just expect to see a modded character well fleshed out. However, that's not all, folks. Download her companion mod to enjoy a full-blown main menu makeover to celebrate her release. Plus, our friend and community member, Breticus Von Magnus, has gone the extra mile to not only allow us to choose between 2 different main menu layouts, there is unique music on it too. So, allow me to shut my gob so you can all give it a listen. But now, let's continue on the theme of going the extra mile here. Breticus has also granted us new dues in the form of both a Whemy rosette and Victorian reskinning. Both look fantastic, and both actually reskin more than just Whemy herself. For you see, each character skin automatically reskins her Coven's Convenience, aka her hat, her Brewer's Belt, and her broomstick. The rosette is absolutely lovely, while the Victorian is dark, worn, and a little torn in more ways than one. But if I had to pick, the Victorian is my favorite. Well done, Von. But we're going to be sticking with the OG skin for the day, so we do some comparisons. So on to the character herself, starting with much of the basics here. In terms of stats, we can expect normalcy with her hunger and sanity pretty much. However, with the relatively low 125 health, don't go into every fight thinking that you're gonna be alright. Numbers matter. Lower numbers should matter much more. And speaking of lower numbers, Whemy has unique status mechanic at play when it comes to fire. She doesn't like to get too close. Whemy's mother told tales of Salem to her when she was young, and because of it, Whemy loses sanity when near sources of flame. Proximity does play a huge role, while the intensity of said flames doesn't appear to itself. But these are nice little touches that really go a long way to make a character, and I love it. However, the sanity mechanics deepen and impact far more than just kinda staying away from a flame now and then. No, your eyes do not deceive you. As this fight progresses, the overall damage I am doing with but a simple spear is somehow decreasing. And this is due to Whemy lacking confidence in her abilities as her sanity dips lower and lower. To be precise, Whemy loses 1% of her damage for every 1.5 points of sanity lost, for a maximum of 75% less damage if things progress far enough. So, this can lead to the humble spear dealing the mere 8.5 damage, the typically reliable meat on a stick dealing but 14.9 damage, which will of course decrease further as the handbat spoils, and even the afeared dark sword will fall all the way down to 17 damage. This is gonna be a controversial one, but I actually like this downside even if it may be just a tad too extreme. But here's something familiar to those who maybe watched our first Whemy video. Whemy's love for shrooms. Having studied mycology, Whemy can not only instantly pick all types of mushrooms, but she has a 10% chance to also spawn a mushroom spore of the corresponding color. Now, this may seem quite random, however it plays tremendously well into her main perks, of which we'll touch on soon, cause for the time being, we still have some new things to cover. Like the protective poppet. Originally not available with Whemy, this new magic craft just continues to add great, relevant layers to this would-be witch survivor. Also, one just got to appreciate the easy but fitting crafts throughout this mod. But simply crafting it means nothing. We need to bind ourselves with it. At the cost of 40 health, we can attune ourselves to the doll to have it be bound to us, unless of course we choose to unbind it later. But what does this all mean exactly? Well, for one thing, let's say you get in trouble with the locals and end up paying the ultimate price. As long as a poppet is attuned and bound to you, death is not the end. Acting as both a life-giving amulet and a meat effigy of sorts, Whemy will live again. I mean, you'll look a bit worse for wear, but you will be alive. However, that's not all. Whemy must have been taught some basics of her voodoo sisters, as her protective poppet works similar to a voodoo doll. As long as it's bound to Whemy, healing items can be used on the doll to also heal Whemy herself no matter where she is on the map in relation to the poppet. Do note though, items like bee stingers and supposedly hound teeth can be used to actually hurt our witch instead. Very neat stuff here. But what's a witch without her broomstick? A brilliant broomstick to be exact. It is an easy craft for what it actually accomplishes, but I really can't blame it, especially when the craft itself makes total flippin' sense. Now, starting and stopping use of the broomstick is quite finicky, and Bredicus does know this. Unfortunately, technical limitations are the cause, but know that you must be constantly moving for the broom to operate. When you do get the hang of it, you will enjoy some additional movement speed and the added bonus of being able to fly over water and over gaps down in the caves. Word of warning, however, do not open your map while flying over such things, as you will instantly end flight and die. It's neat and fitting. However, the always having to be moving thing unfortunately ruins it. But enough faff, it's time for the main course, Whemy's affinity for potion brewing. We will be needing some thonic cauldrons and a crap ton of empty bottles. So, it's a good thing that the latter craft grants 3 bottles per every 2 flint and 1 rock, so get to it. And brewing itself is as simple as it comes, and that is not a bad thing either. Simply toss in an empty bottle and one of the 3 types of mushrooms, and wait for some bubble toil and trouble for eventually 1 to 2 mush brews. Yup, easy enough. Now, each brew does something different depending on whether you drink it yourself or throw it around every which way to Sunday. For the red mush brew, drinking it will pause all hunger drain for roughly 2 minutes at the cost of 5 sanity. But during this time, we can expect to lose 1.5 points of health every 12 seconds for a total of 15 health gone overall. Up the loss of health and speed up the drain itself, and then we'll be looking very, very good. Now, throwing red brews is a different story. Hit a target to deal 30 damage a pop. Great for the little guys initially, and yes, one can just rapid fire them if they choose to do so, good stuff. Blue brew time, and these guys are all about the healing. When consumed, the blue mush brew will heal us over time for 6 points every 5 seconds for a total of 30 seconds overall, equaling a health regeneration of 36 points. Not bad at all. But when thrown, these things are slightly different. Now, it's an area of effect thing that anyone can take a part of, but note that the healing will split depending on how many people are around, and that it heals 4 health every second for 4 seconds overall. Definitely not as much as drinking it, however, you can stack the healing effect if you just go nuts with throwing them. And lastly, the green mush brew. When consumed, it will cost 18 sanity initially, however it will then begin to restore 6 sanity over time at the cost of 1 health every 5 seconds. Definitely the lesser of the brews, but it's still appropriate regardless. Oh, and when thrown, they de-aggro hostiles. However, at the time of recording this, it didn't quite work for me, so I just kind of threw them at myself instead. Breticus has confirmed, though, that they function properly now. But let's start wrapping up here with some other familiar items, like her Coven's Convenience. While it does provide some insulation and wetness resistance, the main draws are its impact on the brews. While wearing the hat, brewing will guarantee 2 to 3 bottles of potions over the typical 1 to 2. Oh, and I forgot to mention that potion brewing actually restores 10 sanity for Whemy, by the by. However, that's not all for the hat. While worn, the hat will also improve all throwable brew effects. Damages of the red brew jump to 75 overall. The healing of the blue brew skyrockets to 4 times the original effectiveness, and the de-aggroing effect strengthens as well. In short, just wear the dang hat at all times. Next, the Brewers Belt. Simple, yet effective. It is an armor slot gear item that serves as extra storage space. That said, the only things that can be stored within are brews and ingredients, aka the 3 types of mushrooms. Technically, the item is armor with 60% protection, but getting hit while wearing it may result in broken potions, so be mindful there. But also note that mushrooms will spoil 33% slower overall while within the belt, and that is very useful. But finally, her tattered tome. Yet another new item for Whemy overall. She spawns with it, and when read, it spawns Wise Spy, an owl familiar. Wise Spy will hoot and actually drive hostile mobs away for a short period of time at really no cost to you. The durability of the tome lowers quite quickly with Wise Spy out, but will increase very slowly as you recall him. So, there you go. Interesting stuff. And there you have it, everyone. Whemy, the Witch, now in full release. Having spoken to Breticus von Magnus myself, I can assure you that there is plenty more to come, and even maybe an expanded universe of sorts, and it all sounds better than the last. Be sure to show some love and get to witching, folks. Thanks for watching, well wishes to all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.